All right, you all ready? Good morning, everyone. Those of you on Zoom, good morning. Those of you in the room, good morning. Welcome. This is our practicum group. We do have a very large class this semester. I've asked a select number of the students to present here this morning about the work that they've been doing, some of them for the entire year and some of them only for this semester. So we have some really great work to share. And the practicum work that we're sharing today is from both fall and spring. I wanted to iterate for those of you that aren't aware of what IMA Practicum is. This is a credit-based option for students who are working in a classroom setting to work on projects that are on or off campus. And we do traditionally work with local nonprofits or organizations that are in the community. We also work with folks on campus, so those are in-house clients. But for this academic year, we decided to work on the IMA program. So I have actually been serving both as faculty mentor and as the client for this project, which at times can be challenging, but it's also a lot of fun because I have a great team of students. And you can see on this list, they also execute professional deliverables. They get to learn how to work in a creative environment, how they can create materials and work with their other team members, and how to work individually in a team setting. So I will let the team take over. Just to give you an idea of how many students we have. In the fall semester, I had a smaller group of students that were dedicated to starting the process of what we're doing this semester. And then here in the spring semester, we have a lot of students that are working on a lot of different areas of materials for the IMA program. So I'm going to let them share what they're working on.
Yes. You can hear me a little bit better. But I'm Anna Sewell. I'm a senior. And last semester I took practicum in fall 2021. And my key goal with taking practicum is that I wanted to work on the Senior Stories project. In the past, this has been a blog post on the IMA Studio website, but I wanted to redesign this project to be something more video-based. I have a background in video, and I am taking emphasis in video with my POE. And so I wanted to do this in a video interview form. So I was interviewing seniors, letting them tell their own stories. And I designed these videos to be short and digestible, under 2 to 3 minutes, so that they could be posted and viewed quickly on social media and on the website. And so for this is what it looked like when we were posting them on the website. It was similar to the way we posted the blog post, but with less text and more emphasis on the video. And this is what it looked like when we were posting them on social media. Ahead of the video, there was a small thumbnail, and then there was the video. And here's an example of one of the 6 videos that I've created for this project.
I'm Jackie Everly. I am a senior this year. I'm graduating in May 2022. I have a POE in multimedia design and a secondary emphasis in studio art. The integrated media arts program allowed me to work on projects I was passionate about, as well as working with community partners. My POE multimedia design allowed me to incorporate my passion for digital illustration, as well as working with community partners for graphic design and related materials. I came to Juniata as a full-time studio art student, but I took an introductory course for the IMA program, and in that course, I learned the basics on many design tools, which invited me to move over into the integrated media arts program. During my time at Juniata College, I had the opportunity to work on many projects. I first started out working on graphic design and layouts, and then transitioned into community partnerships. My first community partnership, I worked with a team of students with the Huntington County Humane Society, where we redesigned many materials for their business. During this time, I was able to create a hand-drawn logo and work on merchandise and a color palette and brand identity. I then had the opportunity to work with the Huntington Health and Wellness Association, where we were able to, again, redesign their brand identity. We made websites, print materials, and even work on their interior space. And this taught me how to work with a community partner, communicate well with a community partner, and also design materials that work for their needs. More recently, I took museum studies here at Juniata, And that allowed me to combine my passion for exhibition design, studio art, and graphic design. The IMA program allows you to work on projects that interest you and that you're passionate about. So with the help of Professor Ryan Givney, I was able to work on many projects that I was passionate about, which allows me to feel prepared to enter my career as a designer. I'm Jackie Everly.
I'm Zach. I'm a junior, and last semester I worked internally in Practicum. I ran Juniata IMA's Instagram and Facebook pages, and the whole purpose was to make these pages more active throughout the semester and to also showcase IMA's hard work and shining creativity. And these pages served as an archival of all the work created by our program, and it also served as an online portfolio for potential clients to see past work. The main goal was to immerse our followers in our complete portfolio work that is now public. And as far as target audience goes, each campaign targets specific different audiences. We have alumni, parents, and students. So while I ran the pages, I created 4 group campaigns. That is Throwback Thursdays, Checking In With, In the Classroom, and Why We Love Ima. And I'll get into each one of those. Starting with Throwback Thursdays, these are the front graphics I created for each post. You can see the templates stayed the same, but depending on who I'm highlighting, their icon is in the middle. The purpose of this campaign was to highlight past projects that were already completed, but may not have been highlighted before on the social media. The 4 that I did were the Humane Society, Huntington House, the Community Center, and East Broad Top. And the specific audience for these were past alumni. Checking In With, these are the front graphics for those. And the purpose of this campaign was to highlight specific IMA students who were working on multiple projects. In the program, we have a lot of really talented students that work on more things than one. And I thought it'd be really good to just choose a couple and kind of show what these different projects are. Jackie Everly, Katie Mace, Sophia Amoroso are 3 that I highlighted. And each one of the posts included multiple images of some mock-ups they gave me, finished products, work in progress pictures, etc. And the specific targeted audience were students and parents. In the classroom, this is kind of the same concept, but kind of broader stance. These are the front graphics for those. And this campaign highlighted what each specific class was currently working on. The 3 classes that I posted for were Labs 1, IMA 110, and Practicum. And these posts, each one included multiple images of students working in the class environment, maybe even working outside together, some mock-ups of what's going on, what they're working on, maybe even a sneak peek of the finished project. And the specific audience targeted, really anyone could enjoy these. Students and alumni parents could all see benefit in seeing what we're doing in the classroom. And then lastly, Why We Love IMA. These are the graphics I created for the front. And the reason we did this was to highlight some little extra activities that the IMA program does outside of the classroom. We were originally going to include these 2 activities maybe in the classroom, but we realized that they deserve their own category. The 2 events that I highlighted were our headshot day and then our resume workshop. And each one of these included images from that said session, and the specific targeted audience, again, anyone could benefit from seeing these, students, alumni, and parents. And then at the end of the semester, we looked at the engagement. And while I couldn't go back to the beginning of fall semester, this is as of winter break, and the accounts reached, accounts engaged, and our total followers did see a percentage increase, which was one of our goals. So overall, I believe it was a success.
So another project that the Practicum class has been working on is the IMA Studio website. So this was a project that was redesigned out of a need. So at the beginning of the fall semester, we had some storage issues with our hosting provider. So it turned into a large-scale photo optimization project where each photo was taken down from the website, compressed, and then re-uploaded. And during that process, we realized that some of the content didn't really make sense where it was. So it sparked a redesign and reorganization project for the whole website. So we've created some wireframes to help reorganize the content and just see where it would like look the best. And then Salon worked on some prototypes to see how that design would come together. And this would also serve as like a style guide for the future and almost like a template so that that style stays consistent. So one of the biggest projects was the Client Projects tab. So this highlights the work being done by IMA students through case studies and style guides. It was formerly known as Recent Projects. So we renamed it to Client Projects and broke it into 3 pages, one for the Community Design Lab class, Practicum, and then IMA internships. And then this is my shameless plug for the LAS page. If you're on Zoom, you might have already checked it out, but it's serving as a home base during LAS for all the IMA work. It highlights the student work from this past academic year. So the senior research projects, the passion projects from Business of Design, the internship posters, and then this presentation right now. And then like Anna said earlier, the IMA senior stories took on a different form this year with videos, but those were also posted on the website to highlight the senior stories. And then looking forward to the rest of the semester, the plan is to backdate LAS content from the past couple years. We have the content, so why not display it? We have the remaining senior stories to post. We're working on a design templates page, which will serve as a resource for current students and for alumni with presentation templates and case studies and the junior out of college style guide and typography guide. And then after graduation, we'll be transitioning the seniors to the alumni page.
All right, so we finally made our way to Practicum 2022, and we are designing a book, as the title suggests. So here we had a few teams kind of split up and kind of worked together and worked to get this book kind of knocked out. We had a writing team, a layout team, and a production team. So the purpose of this book was to showcase, discuss, and demonstrate, showcasing the work of being done by the students here at Juniata College, discuss how the building supports the IMA students and other students, demonstrate how the IMA prepares students for their careers. And the importance of this book, we wanted to celebrate the 5 years we've had in Keppel, and kind of showcase the amazing work that our students have done. So the design process was quite strenuous, but it all came together. So in the fall, we had the content topics already picked out. We created a list of different projects and such to work on, but the spring semester is where things kind of really kicked off, where we discussed color palettes, templates, and research costs to produce the book and other various vital information. Here are some various layouts for the book. This includes some of our mission statements, and you can just see the general design of what the book's going to kind of look like when it does come out.
So I will be talking about the book production and sales, which is the part of the process that we're going into now. So we will be self-publishing with Blurb. Blurb is really great because they offer templates and resources to make publishing really easy. So we will upload a final PDF and they will print our book from that. And so when we were designing, we had to work with all of the different teams to look at pricing and what we want to get out of books. So this chart is an example on Blurb's site of looking at how different parts of the book affect the cost. So paper, size, how many pages you have. So we figured out pretty early on that we wanted an 8 by 10 inch portrait, and that was going to serve the style that the layout team wanted and the amount of writing, the content that the writing team was going to give them. Then we also had to make some other decisions, like we decided to go with standard paper over premium paper because it was going to make the book a lot less accessible as far as cost. And so what we've settled on is the 8 by 10 inch portrait, a soft cover. with a magazine style design inside, and then roughly 100 pages, though we're still in the final editing process. So bringing in money, we had to reach out for external funding. So we've talked with a number of offices on campus about potentially funding or supporting us through sales of books, but we're not making a profit off these books. So we needed some external funding to cover production costs and overhead costs, things like the proof process, which I'll touch on, and shipping from Blurb to here, things we didn't want to pass on to students who bought the book. So the Dale Information Technology Endowment has really generously given us money to be able to cover those overhead costs. And this endowment was created by John and Irene Dale, and is used to spread and support learning and technology on campus. And we're really grateful for their support. So the review process is where we're at now. We started some of that process and we're about to start the rest of it. So we ordered a proof. It's not a full proof of the book, but it's about 30 pages of some of the layouts that we're looking at and some sort of tests, basically so we can see and take what's been on our screens and see how it looks in print, so that we can make better design choices. And then in a few days, we're going to be sending out a PDF of what we think the book will look like to select faculty, students, and staff that we're working with to get outside opinions. All of the 7 students who've been working on this book, we've been really immersed in it, so getting outside perspective will really help us make it the best it possibly can be. And the final element of this is accepting orders. We opened our pre-orders this past Monday, and they'll be going through next Monday. And we were able to get the book down to $50, which we really wanted this to be accessible for anyone, alumni, students, staff, whoever wants one. And we've been going through this with the social media team, created a graphic. We've been going through the process of documenting, so I have an example order confirmation email. And we've been going through this process because we can get book discounting. So the more books that we can get in pre-orders, the better price we can get that good price for everyone.
All right. So we're at the point of the presentation that we wanted to allow those of you attending either in person or on Zoom to ask questions of the folks that are here presenting. We do have, as I mentioned, a lot of other students that are also participating in these projects. But the students that were invited to present today have a pretty thorough understanding of all the projects that we've worked on either in the fall or the spring. So I want to open it up for questions. And I also want to briefly mention the amount of work that we've done this year as an internal project. I haven't checked all of the time tracking hours yet on our reports, but I have a feeling it's going to at least double what we would normally do for an external client, simply because we already had all of the materials ready to go to publish the book, most of them, I will say. Emily has been working really hard on the writing team to pull information from past reports. But working on an internal client for me has been really eye-opening that as a program, we already have a lot. We've documented our projects. The students that are working here now, or those of you that are alumni that are joining on Zoom today, all of the work that you did as students with your projects, that you document what you did, you took photos, that's what's helping us publish this book. So I'm very grateful that part of the student evaluation is the process of your work. And that's really going to help us make this book happen. So who has questions? Anyone have questions? Those of you that are on Zoom can also ask questions. I will open this up. Anyone have questions? You can type them in the chat, or you can unmute if you would like to, but those of you that are in the room, if you also have questions. Really good. Yes. Anybody have anything else that you wanted to share? Anything that we didn't?
Just a quick thing. I think we forcefully muted everyone on Zoom.
Okay.
So they might not be able to.
Those of you that are on Zoom, if you cannot unmute yourself, please just send me a chat and I will unmute you if for some reason you cannot unmute. And I did just jump to our last slide, which that's okay. It's our gorgeous building. So. Question in the chat. Good. All right, first question. Ashley Purvis. Hi, Ashley Purvis. Question is, I know how hard it is to create a book. What were the major challenges with making the IMA book? Those of you book team. What are the challenges right now? So Zach is primarily on the design team. Sadiq is also primarily on the design team. And then Emily is working on the writing team and also the production side of this. For reference, those of you that are in the room or on Zoom, Ashley Purvis did a year-long thesis research and published her own children's novel, which there are a few photos on the wall actually right here. But great question from someone that went through this as an individual researcher, and now we've got a team with a large number of students that are working. So what are the challenges that you all have faced? Zach?
I mean, I think obviously the biggest challenge was time, just because
Yeah.
Physically making the book start to finish in one semester is pretty hefty. But I think the biggest challenge then was getting the ball rolling, because it's everything we've done in the last 5 years, and like that was a lot of information, and we were like completely overwhelmed at the beginning. So I think we spent weeks, sorting everything, writing new stuff, trying to find old stuff to get, and then once we really had it organized and we created a template for everyone to use, so we're all on the same page, which is another challenge, getting everyone on the same page. I think then the ball started rolling, got a lot easier.
Yeah, and I do want to highlight and emphasize Sophia Amoroso spent the entire fall semester in practicum, filling this board that we all love to fill with ideas of what could be in the book and what we thought needed to be in the book, and really helping us narrow down the scope, that it wasn't only to highlight Keppel Hall, but the growth of the IMA program. And that helped us so that as we started this semester, we were able to start with a solid plan. And then as Zach mentioned, yes, Ashley, you will probably appreciate this, but we did a work session that I worked with the design team to develop, I think 9 master pages. Does that sound right? So we had 9 master page layouts that had a grid system and character styles, typography, color palettes, everything, so that as we disseminated the InDesign file to 4 different designers on Mac and PC, we wouldn't have any issues with things not being consistent. So yes, it was tricky, but we're making it work. I have a question from Tatum. Anna, can you talk a little about your creative process in conducting the IMA Senior Story interviews?
Yeah, so I originally went into the past senior stories on the website and kind of figured out what information in the past people have given and what questions we've asked in the past for collecting their senior stories, such as why did you choose the IMA program, and what are your influential courses, and how do you feel like the IMA program is going to influence you in your career ahead of you, and those type of questions. And once I had those questions, I sent those questions over to my interviewees, and they wrote out ahead of time their answers, and then we conducted the interview. I got their answers, and we did that interview. And then once I had everything edited together, I then made an appointment with them to capture B-roll, stuff with them like on the computer or completing the projects or stuff like that. And then once I had that all together, I also completed a intro that you saw with the IMA branding, as well as the outro, which we didn't get to see, but it's just like the IMA logo with a cool sound effect.
The other thing I should mention, the IMA stories were started as a senior research project by Lindsay Schulten in the fall of 2017. So yet another example of a student being passionate about telling the stories. At that time, they were more in a blog post and a poster format. And this year we're transitioning more into video. So it's interesting to see whoever's working on it taking their own interests and passions and tying that into how we tell our stories of our seniors. Do we have any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
I actually did have a question, I think, for a second.
Go ahead.
But so y'all came up with the idea of doing a book and redesigning the website. How exactly did you decide that, like, what you all were gonna focus on, I guess? Like, think of, because I'm sure, I don't know if the plan was like to do a book from the start, or like if you came to that conclusion together. Just like, how did like the brainstorm start, I guess?
So we came into the spring with knowing that there was going to be a book, that social media was going to continue, the website was going to continue. So we had an idea of like what kind of work we'd be doing. And then this board was filled with all of our different names, and who wanted to work on what teams. And then as we started getting into that team, some people thought that they were going to work on multiple teams and ended up focusing on one team. Some people thought they were going to do one thing and focused on multiple. So we had an idea of the types of projects we were going to do, and then it was sort of who was interested in what, and that's sort of how it took shape as far as who was starting.
Yeah, and we decided in the fall semester, I knew that we would be celebrating the 5th year in the building. When we started the fall semester, that this would be the completion of our 5th full academic year. And I started brainstorming, and then I started talking with the small practicum team in the fall, because the list of names that we had on one of the first slides, although there might have been 9 students, several of those students were working on thesis film projects or other practicum projects that were not related to simply IMA. And so once we decided we were going to do the book, I knew most of the execution would need to happen in the spring. And this is also the first semester that we invited students that have not taken the lab class yet to take practicum. For those of you that are alumni, did you just hear that? I had students in IM 110 in the fall that are in practicum this semester, and they're working primarily on social media. Some of them are also doing supporting the book team in different capacities or supporting the writing team. But those 5 students have not yet had the experience of working on outside client projects. So this was an opportunity to see, does it work to have students skip the lab course and come straight to practicum? And we've learned a lot this semester, I think, with how we should do that if we do it again. I do see some questions here in the chat. Not a question, but great job to all. Can't wait to get the book. That's from Marla. Thank you, Marla. We can't wait. And Andrew gave us lots of claps. So any other questions? The question too about what to highlight in the book, I do want to mention, we have a lot of projects. So we did have a brief discussion about how do we highlight what needs to be in the book. And I also talked with the web team. Hey, if this project doesn't make it into the book, should we also remove it from the website? I can keep it for archival purposes, but maybe it's not part of the main. Because we have had projects in the past that it's maybe only one student rather than a team of students, and the outcome might be smaller, especially during COVID semesters where some students were joining us asynchronously. I would set up opportunities for students rather than working in a classroom with lots of peers. I had several students that were abroad that worked on one project independently. And so the outcomes of those projects, especially due to the student not physically being here, not being in a team setting, and then also not being on campus, those projects can have different outcomes. So I know Katie and Salam both worked really hard to help me determine from a web perspective, what do we highlight? And then from the book team, I think it was, you know, the projects that we chose for the book, I think were more, what was the impact and how do we showcase the variety of projects that we do? So anything from Huntington Humane Society and the Community Center, which is like our local YMCA, to Huntington House, which is domestic violence nonprofit, all the way up to Cookies for Caregivers. There's been lots of variety in those projects. So that has been, I think, part of our goal too, whenever we highlighted these projects, is that we can show a little bit of everything. You all have anything else you want to share? Okay. Any more questions? No? Stephen? All right. If no one has more questions, we can end the presentation a little bit early. Thank you all for attending, those of you that are on Zoom. Yes, thank you for attending. And it's so great to see some of our alum that will also be highlighted in the book. So, but it's great to see so many of you here today. So thank you. I'm going to clap for you. Clap for yourself. Pat yourselves on the back. Good work. All right. Thank you all. I will stop the screen share.